Had enough of burnout bogging your project management journey? Are you ready to eliminate the stress that you're experiencing? In this video, I'm going to share with you my self-care techniques for project managers so that you can start thriving in your projects. Identify the source of the burnout. Project managers, for a variety of reasons, experience burnout, normally due to the high pressure nature of the job. So you have to really pinpoint what exactly is causing your burnout. So now let's take a look at some common examples that project managers experience regarding burnout. Heavy workload. Just the nature of the beast. There's a lot going on that a project manager has to be balancing, from the documentation, leading the team, talking to other stakeholders, reporting, making sure that all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Tight deadlines. The pressure of all the deadlines that we have, and if you didn't build in any buffers, can create a lot of stress, which can lead to burnout. Scope creep. This one definitely leads to burnout because you're adding more things to your project that you didn't originally plan for, and now you're scrambling to ensure that you can get everything done, probably with less budget and less resources. So definitely a huge burnout indicator if you got scope creep. Resource constraints. If you don't have enough people on your team to get the work done, then guess what? You're probably doing some double duty. Whether it's your team members doing double duty and you have to help them, or you yourself taking on some extra roles. That's definitely a huge contributing factor. Communication challenges. So if you don't have a really good communication channel or plan with your team, then you're going to have some communication challenges. And when you have communication challenges, you're doing a lot more extra work by chasing people around, trying to give them information, or dealing with firefighting based on poor communication because people are making assumptions. Lack of control. If you're feeling like you have a lack of control in your project, then you definitely have a lot of stress. And again, that stress leads to burnout. So understanding why is it that you're feeling that way and putting in a really good solid framework to help you is going to be critical so you don't feel that particular burnout. Perfectionism. I can't tell you how perfectionism leads to burnout, like not just in project management, but in professional world anyway. You can't expect perfection, so drop that, please. That's my gift to you. I give you permission not to be perfect. That does not mean you don't do your best work, but you can get rid of that particular stress factor and just do the best job ever so that you can eliminate that factor. That definitely causes burnout for project managers. So those are some multiple reasons why project managers have burnout. And once you identify where exactly it's coming from, you have the ability to start dealing with it properly. Before we go into the tips on how to avoid burnout, I want to share with you this. This is really important and one of the things you will need to ensure you don't have burnout. It's all about the risks that your project potentially to go through. This is what I created for you. It's free. How do you get it? You can get it from the link underneath this video. Stop having unnecessary meetings. I see this all the time with project managers that I coach, that they're having unnecessary meetings, and the truth of the matter of it is it doesn't only cause burnout for them, it causes burnout for their teams. Now, what constitutes an unnecessary meeting? Well, it's status update meetings. In fact, one of my students from my SLAY Project Management Pro course, we were on a coaching call and she brought up this exact problem. She was having burnout, but her team was too, and status update meetings, she just wasn't getting what she needed, and she was getting a lot of resistance. So we spoke about it, and I reminded her of some of the things that she can start using, like the work breakdown structure that we have in our program to help her really get all the concepts and the tasks that she needs, but more importantly, to use it as a tool for communication. As soon as she instituted that and really used it in a way for accountability, which is how it's structured, she found that she wasn't having any issues with updates because people were updating it in the document as they should have, that tool. And she was actually using her meetings now for really productive outcomes, like getting approvals, issue resolution, stuff that was helping her tremendously and really helped with her burnout and practically eliminating it. Implement mindfulness. Mindfulness is a very powerful technique that's going to help reduce your stress and ultimately bring down any burnout that you may be feeling. So what are some techniques as a project manager that you can start doing to implement mindfulness into your daily routine? Well, the first one is mindful breathing. This is a very simple technique. If you think about it, we don't really think about our breathing. And when you do start paying attention, you realize how shallow it actually is. And there is amazing research out there that shows that when we do really good, deep, full belly breaths of going into the belly, bringing it all the way up, count to 5, it slows us down and helps us keep connected. Simple technique that you can do multiple times throughout a day. And even more importantly, when you're feeling stressed, take that deep belly breath, do it 4 or 5 times, and you will see a huge difference. You will stay connected and you won't be distracted and letting stress rule you. Mindful communication. So just as important communication is, yes, we speak, but it's listening. And that's the mindfulness part that comes out. So really, in order to bring in mindfulness to reduce your burnout and stress, really start listening to people. Don't make assumptions. Hear all the information before you jump to offering a solution or the conclusion. It does make a difference in the outcomes and will just ensure that you are not getting carried away yourself and eliminating that stressful situation. Mindful task management. So what do I mean by this? Well, it's proven that we don't multitask really, really well. So if you're multitasking and doing multiple things at the same time, I promise you there's things that are falling through the cracks. So one of the things you want to ensure that things don't fall through the cracks. Why? Because that creates stress, more work. Guess what? Burnout. So you really want to work on one thing at a time. So if you have something really important, put your focus and attention on that. Maybe work on it for 45 minutes. Take some mindful breaths and then work on something else. But if you're working on things at the same time, something will suffer, and that's just going to cause more stress for you. Mindful boundary setting. So this is when you really take a look at everything that you're doing from a work perspective and you put some boundaries around it. You really need to ensure that you have some harmony in your life. You can't be working 24/7. You will get burnout immediately and very quickly. So understand that there's ebbs and flows. Look at what you have to do, but then put some boundaries around it and be mindful. It's going to be up and down, but that's okay. By bringing in these mindful techniques, it brings about awareness. And when you're aware, you have the ability to identify and deal with the stress. And when you deal with the stress, you eliminate burnout. Have an end of day routine. Now that end of day could be end of business day or end of actual day. So why do I say this? Because as a project manager, there's so much on our plates that we have to do and execute. And part of the stress is when we really don't know what's coming down the pike, right? It's just things are falling on our lap. So one of the techniques that I love and I do daily is I look at my end of the day and I carve out a period of time where I am reflecting on what happened in the day, but I'm also now planning for the next day. I also plan a little bit out as well, maybe a few days further, because they sometimes overlap with activities. So how do I do that? So when I decide that my day is over and I've answered all my emails, done what I needed to do, I then take a look at my calendar and I go, okay, what do I have tomorrow that's popping up that I have to take a look at? Are there meetings? What meetings are there? Do I have the agendas for them? Is everything prepped and ready to go so that when I wake up in the morning, I'm not scrambling to prepare for that? It is all ready. And that has a huge impact so that when you do finally turn off from work, you can truly enjoy your evening, your personal time, because that is so important as well. If you want to eliminate burnout, you need to have that balance and harmony that we spoke about in the mindfulness technique. So that's something I highly, highly recommend, because when you're waking up in the morning, you do not want to be wondering what you have to do. You will already know what you have to do, and you already have the preparation ready for you. It helps tremendously. You're going to love that one. Don't let emails overpower you. This is a question I get asked all the time in my coaching calls. Adriana, how do I deal with the emails? Okay, emails is it's a beast. I'm not going to pretend it's not a beast. I'm not going to pretend that it's uber easy. You have to set up structure around your emails. Otherwise, you'll be carried away. And I'm sure some of you, because I know I myself have had this experience where I'm so busy on my emails, I look up, it's 3 p.m. and where did my day go? I was on emails. What value did that give me? In all honesty, not much, because I should have been doing some preparation work for a meeting or PowerPoint presentation or whatever it may be. So how do you deal with this? There's a couple of things that you have to look at. you need to have a rule of 24 hours when it comes to emails. And that's for you sending out emails and when people can expect to receive an email from you. That's a really critical one as a project manager, that at my kickoff meetings, I set up with my project team and my steering committee immediately. By the way, give me 24 hours to reply to you. And vice versa, I will give you 24 hours to reply for me, which is actually really beneficial if you have a global team and you have different time zones. So why is that so important? Because I think in today's day and age, we are so apt to go, oh my goodness, I got this email, I need to reply right away. If something isn't of emergency, I always say to people, text or call me if it's an emergency. Otherwise, an email is just information that you're sending my way. Nothing of urgency should ever be in an email. Text or call me. Ideally, call me, because I have my cell phone on me, right? We all do. So that to me is going to help you out tremendously. And then you set up the expectation of other people as well, so they're not hounding you like, hey, I sent you an email an hour ago. No, 24 hours is a rule, and you have to teach people that, and you also have to practice it as well. Another thing too is you may want to contemplate, and sometimes depending on the job and your time zones, it may be a little bit difficult or easy, or again, everyone's scenario is different. Look at only going to your emails twice. I do mine first thing in the morning because I'm dealing maybe with some time zones and someone was working and they had ended their day. So I kind of deal with those. And then I go at the end of the day. I try really hard not to look at it in between because I'm usually in meetings. I'm trying to prepare for stuff. At some point, you got to get work done. Answering emails is not getting work done. It's just communication. And as important as that is, you can't have that take everything over. So don't get overwhelmed with the emails, just really manage it. And the third thing I'd highly recommend is ask people to try not to CC you on everything or the whole team on everything. There are some things like decisions and revisions or stuff of criticality that yes, you should put people on there for an FYI. But if you set your project up properly, you should have everything in your project SharePoint site that has access to all that information and versions, so you don't have to worry about the email communication. So those are things definitely to consider. And if you get that under control, you will for sure have less stress, and therefore your burnout will be less. Okay, now that you have some tips on how to deal with burnout as a project manager, don't forget this. This is going to help you ensure that your projects don't fail. Again, I created it for you based on my experience. It's free. How do you get it? The link is below this video. Watch this next video. It's about team conflict, which can be a source of team burnout. On that note, if you can subscribe to this channel, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any comments or video suggestions, put it in the comments below. Until next time.